All right, welcome to the Unhappy Hour. Unhappy for the Amerikanski, because it is 4 p.m. in Europe, and usually I stream at around 11 or 10, and that's when the Americans are up. But now I think it's late at night for them. I guess depends on the state, but I see Snake Dude for life, so I guess I must be streaming at an appropriate hour. But yeah, I was really bewildered by the video that I made previously with the communists that started their own business endeavor, trying to give away coffee for free. It's astonishing because a lot of communists, they end up being journalists or they end up being some sort of activists, and they tell other people how to run their business. They give very important informational advice, and for some goddamn reason, especially in the United States, businesses listen to them. It's bizarre. Like a lot of people say that woke ideology is communism, and I heard it explained very well in a way that's mind opening. You know how you have like cats as a family, right? So you have like lions, tigers, house cats, lynxes, but they're all considered to be felines, or well, people say cats as in big cats and small cats, but you know what we're talking about, right? Like you have this big family of things that are different, but they have similarities, so they call them felines. It's the same with Marxism, like when people say communism or socialism. Well, yeah, but like you have like woke ideology, which is one part, and you have neo-colonialism and gender studies, and but like all of these are part of the same family. They're part of the same tree. So when you say communism, it's like you think of all of these things because they have a lot of similarities. Like when you hear someone say cisgender, straight, white, heteropatriarchal male, you can't really tell if it's from colonial studies or if it's from gender studies or feminism or but you know that they're part of the same ideology. They're part of the same tree, if you will. They're just like different branches. So when you have like these people giving business advice to other businesses, but whenever they try to open their businesses, they go bankrupt immediately. It's very shocking, right? When you realize just how much influence they have over our economy. For example, the David Hogg individual, right? David Hogg. I don't even know why he is so popular. Like for some reason, um, it's almost like he managed to save a building of burning orphans or something. He must have done something very important that I know about him from Romania. But David Hogg opened his pillow business. And this was, of course, not because like he wanted to start the business. Well, he wanted to own Mike Lindell, that pillow guy. He wanted to show him, like, I'll show. And his business was very progressive. Like he was talking about making sure that everyone gets a fair wage, making sure that everyone gets maternity leave, and like a lot of good stuff. But none of the stuff he was talking about was actually how to make pillows or how to sell them. And it turns out that he didn't know how, and that's why he actually had to sell his business. But it does show, right? Like every single time these individuals apply their ideology, which is really good in theory, but very bad in practice, they apply it to the world, ends up a failure. Congratulations on dumping the MiG-21 after 60 years. The Romanian Air Force is now on par with the rest of NATO. Well, take into account that most European countries, and this is Germany included, we weren't preparing for any military conflict. I mean, we're still not, but I guess it's the conflict with Ukraine across the border that's getting people a little bit more edgy. But like, why spend money on your defense when you don't really need to? Like, if you play a game of Civ, and you know that you're surrounded by peaceful civilizations, there's no real need in order to advance your military hardware. Because creating more powerful military equipment costs money to maintain it. Eventually the people ask, it's like, okay, but like we're not at war, like why do we have like the most advanced technology when it comes to planes? Like America, sure, like the United States does use its military aircraft, but like here's an example, right? Like America, why it didn't create a supersonic missile? So from what I know, like supersonic missiles are only created by the Russians and by the Chinese right now, right? So America didn't make them because it didn't need them. Like, what are they going to use against whom? In Afghanistan, in Iraq? Like, they don't need that technology. But now that the Russians and the Chinese have them, I'm pretty sure that Americans will have them as well. But basically, this is why European countries weren't even paying their fair share into NATO. It's literally that. It's like, well, we have Americans to protect us. Like, why do we need our own shit? Until the European Union came up. It's like, we need to have a European Union army. And you still gotta have something. Not a museum piece like the MiG-21. Well, Marius, you need to ask, like, who's going to attack us, like Romanians, right? It's probably going to be the Russians. And what do they have? Oh, they also have the MiG-21. Or whatever the fuck they have. Like, the Russians also have museum tanks going into Ukraine. They got, like, their World War II tanks and stuff. So, I do not see your point. Unless you are afraid that the Americans or the Chinese are going to invade, then there's really no reason to have state-of-the-art planes. Especially, like, when you use planes, it's more to, I guess, well, it's not necessarily as an offensive thing. But it's much cheaper to just have anti-air on the ground rather than just have your own planes. Like, right now, a country like Romania can probably benefit from drones. Right, like a drone is a lot easier to maintain, a lot easier to equip. It's a lot easier to control than to actually have a plane. So, you take into account, like, the neighbors, the potential conflicts, and yeah. I mean, if I was Romania, for example, I would spend more money on training soldiers to fight into the mountain forest rather than develop the state-of-the-art aircraft. I would spend money more on anti-air and missile shield rather than spend money on aircraft. But that's just me, all jet fighters are supersonic, yeah, but we were talking about missiles, right? So, like, supersonic missiles, which apparently is a very new technology. I don't know how new it is, but from what I understand, it's just owned by the Russians and the Chinese. Never underestimate the power of air cover. Yeah, but, like, we're in NATO, right? So, I mean, look what happened with Ukraine. Immediately they got NATO equipment and NATO gear. Like, what? Do you think Ukraine had anything else besides MiGs? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Oh, look, Sak and Pupe is here. Very interesting. Hypersonic, not supersonic. Okay, my bad. Thank you for the correction. It is true. It's hypersonic, though. We have hypersonic missiles, first to start making them. We just didn't rush them into active service like Russia and China. Yeah, but, like, there's no reason to have them if no one else does, right? Like, I suppose, like, you can have them just to show them that you got them, but, like, what are you going to use them against? Like, look at the previous military conflicts that the US was in. Like, were they going to use hypersonic missiles in Afghanistan? What was it's not cost effective. Ultrasonic. Oh my god, super mega sonic deluxe plus the fastest missiles on Earth. How about that? Jesus fucking Christ, there's like 45 designations for them. The fastest missile ever made. Mega sonic. Oh, I love that. Mega ultra manga missile. I read an article and it's interesting. It's like, oh, China has, like, the fastest rocket on planet Earth right now. And apparently it made the one spin around the Earth and then it landed. It's so fast it can't be intercepted by anything. And I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting, okay? And I'm like, okay, so it's like a supersonic. And then people no, it's not supersonic, it's ultrasonic. And then I say ultrasonic, no, it's super mega, fuck off. It's a missile teleporter. It goes from their launch bay into the target. God, fucking hell. Because, like, I don't even know who's trolling me and who isn't. I'm trying to say something like a trivia. Like, I'm not even, like, focusing the video on that. It's like, hey, as a fun trivia, did you know? And people are like, no, but the name is the technicality is incorrect. All right, I see. You're right. I actually remember Super Duper Fly. Can the missile beat Goku? That's a good question. Do you know that Sailor Moon can beat Goku? I thought that it's hilarious at first. It's like, what do you mean Sailor Moon can beat Goku? No, apparently that bitch can erase planets. Like, what? Right, so like, if you actually know Sailor Moon lore, at the end of Sailor Moon, she becomes so fucking powerful that she can literally erase planets. Now you can say, well, Goku can do that too. Yeah, sure, but like the way it works, like she can do it from a distance. Like from planet Earth, she can erase another planet. So like technically at that point, I guess the question is like, is she fighting against Goku face to face? Or is she on the moon in her palace and she just wants to kill Goku for no fucking reason? Because in the other situation, if she's on her moon, in her palace, and just wants to kill Goku, Goku's dead. Like, Sailor Moon can beat Goku. Yeah, like, Tsukida Usagi is OP as fuck. Like, people just don't know the lore. But no, she can actually do it. Because I laughed at first when I found it. It's like, what do you mean? Like, Tsukida Usagi can beat Goku? Yes, she can. But if she is face to face with Goku, she doesn't stand a chance. Magical girl power level. Madoka can cause the heat death of the universe. Okay. Goku can teleport. Well, yeah, but like, does he know? Does he know that the wave of death is coming? And it's probably like going to be like a wave of death with like red hearts and shit. Because like when she does her magic, there's like red hearts. Like imagine your planet being annihilated by like purpley red heart beam of love. Because she channels the power of love, so yes. Goku can impregnate Usagi. No, not if Chi-Chi has anything to say about it. Goku can't die. Goku died several times. What the fuck are you talking about? You can't really argue anime with me. You can't come up with that bullshit. It's like Goku can't die when he literally died in the lore. Sailor Moon Tiara can destroy anything it touches. Can it though? There must be something that actually survives Sailor Moon Tiara. Would be actually funny, you know, Goku tries to catch it, but he dies. Because he just doesn't know the power level of that shit. Did anyone survive Sailor Moon Tiara? So, no, the tiara is destroyed in Act 3 after the fight with Jadedite. But it's soon replaced with a more ornate one. So, like, apparently, like, someone actually BTFO'd her tiara. At the end of the episode 46 of Sailor Moon Classic, Usagi used the silver crystal power to resurrect herself and her friends. Jesus fucking Christ, this bitch is overpowered. So apparently, Usagi wished to just be a normal girl and not a warrior. In an earlier episode, her tiara-based attack abruptly failed, a problem she continued to have in this episode when she tries to rescue her friends. The Monster of the Week consequently retaliates. Usagi transformation brooch shatters, and she is dragged down into a kind of void by the monster's power. Luna tries to help but is dragged herself. Apparently we learned that Usagi's tiara and transformation have failed because deep down she wishes she could be a normal girl. So long as she feels that way, she cannot become Sailor Moon. So as long as Goku manages to reason to the bitch that, hey, you know, like maybe you should just be a normal girl, Goku gets BTF'd by her tiara. It's canon now. It is what it is. You cannot unthink or unwish this. Captain America shield. I think like the tiara is more OP than the Captain America shield. The tiara was OP for a fat man. Could Goku survive against the Overdrive? No. I'm not going to do just battle things. I just wanted to talk about Goku and Sailor Moon. That's it. That's all you get for today. I'm not going to say like, well, can Goku win against such and such? Can Goku win against this hentai protagonist that's like from a hentai video game but is Japanese and the hentai characters in Japanese video games are very OP? No. We're not going to talk about that. Overwatch 2 gave me a lot of satisfaction today. Apparently, they're not releasing any more PvE content. That's interesting. I did not know. There were so many people that were arguing with me. It's like, it's just the beta, V. It's just the beta. Like, wait until you see the PvE content. And I was like, well, where the fuck is it? Like, the game is about to release. Where the fuck is the PvE? Oh, it's not coming. Oh, naruhodo. Look at this. This is very hilarious. What I love the most is the drawing. They made Batman look like a pedophile. Like, seriously, this drawing. Doesn't he look like a pedophile, chat? Or is it just me? Like, who drew this and thought, yes, this is Bruce Wayne? This looks scary as fuck. But anyway, right, like, what's interesting is that the story is actually really good. So, apparently, Batman is on the internet, on 4chan, spreading false, dangerous, and harmful misinformation, right? So you're in a chat room, everyone in Gotham knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's obvious. Father, what are you doing? Right? So he's basically saying that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Here comes Money Rider response. So Bruce Wayne is Money Rider. Bruce Wayne is dead and this man on TV has completely different body language and posture. Batman has taken control of Bruce Wayne's life and his fortune. Father, why? Because attempts will shortly be made to expose the secret identity of Batman and his allies. When they happen, they'll be lost in a blizzard of rumor, denial, and misinformation. So in other words, like, the fact that Batman is Bruce Wayne is real, but he is feeding misinformation to make everyone that claims that Batman is Bruce Wayne to be associated with the individuals that believe that Bruce Wayne is actually a lizard. Batman is actually a lizard that is controlling Bruce Wayne, right? And this is how the government actually does it. Like, I have seen it times and times again throughout history. Like, you have the truth, which is difficult to believe sometimes, right? Like, the idea that the most rich person in the world is a superhero vigilante. Like, this is something that is already far out there. But the idea that Batman has taken control of Bruce Wayne's life and his fortune, and he is just, you know, impersonating Bruce Wayne and then using, like, magic in order to... This is, like, crazy level already. Like, this is conspiracy theory. So what the government does is, like, they will say anyone that claims that Bruce Wayne is Batman is a harmful and dangerous conspiracy theory, so social media needs to block it. Like, we need to remove it from the web. But I found it interesting that a comic book actually addresses this shit. And then I looked at the date, and it's from 2011, and it's like, oh, I see. So it's back when they actually made real comics. Ah. Will I play Diablo 4? See, the difference between I and other people is that I can actually make money off of it. So for me, it's more like a business rather than a hobby. But probably not. I genuinely am not excited about that game. The character editor really ruins it for me. Like, the heroes have no charm. I cannot get attached to those heroes. They're abominations. They look ugly. I cannot. It's disgusting. But it is what it is. It's telling Batman more like Baseman. It does look like Boomer Kumar Wayne. Yeah, it did look like very bizarre. Sorry about that. My apologies. I thought the Diablo 4 looked good from that demo. It looks like one of those like South Korean games, but without the charm. Definitely not like Diablo. The thing that really shocked me is the fact that it doesn't have blood, gore, and dismemberment. And you think it doesn't really matter. Like, okay, well, Diablo doesn't have dismemberment. Who cares? Well, I'll tell you, you notice the difference right away. Like, when you play Diablo 3 or Diablo 2, and you throw a meteorite into a group of fallen, it feels impactful. Like, you have limbs flying everywhere, there's blood, it's really gruesome, but it makes you feel like you actually casted a powerful spell. In Diablo 3, it feels like there's no impact. It feels boring. In fact, like, most of the spells that you cast feel impactless, and it takes away from that part of the gameplay. And we're talking about a hack and slash game, right? So, like, that's what you're doing most of the time. You're hacking and slashing. The difficulty level felt off. I mean, the game felt way too fucking easy. When you actually unlock the combos and stuff with the rogue, like, I just genuinely didn't even feel like I was about to die at any point. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's not a bad game. Like, it's not abysmal. Unless it burns your graphics card, which it does. But it does for some people. But it's not like unserviceable, right? It's not a 4. The only reason that it should be a 4 is that it's a Diablo game and they should be ashamed of what they did. But other than that, it's okay. I don't think it's worth $70. Let's put it like this. You know, if the game was like $40 or maybe 30, yeah, sure. But clearly not worth $70. So if I were to recommend it to other people, if I was to do like an actual review of the game, I would say do not buy it for the full price and wait until it's on discount. The comics have went down the toilet, V. Just read my manga and we'll be, well, you'll be having your sexy women to enjoy looking at. Well, I will read your manga because I saw a couple of trailers, so well, a couple of teasers, so. Have they made the Diablo character gay to cover for Overwatch? Well, you know, apparently that's what Blizzard's writing team is capable of, like making characters gay. That's their limit. Like, that is what they know how to do best. You know, so they deserve their paycheck, I guess. Like, whenever Blizzard gets accused of sexual harassment or anything similar, they're like, hey, okay, so this new character, he is, let me check, pansexual, and we're going to put the Romanian flag on it, so that... Unironically, like, they placed the Romanian flag... they placed it upside down though, but like either that, it is the Romanian flag on the pansexual new hero that they have. And by pansexual, they mean that they fuck the robots. What are the robots called? Omnics, right? So Blizzard has these robots called Omnics, but for some reason they have like a penis. Cause like, okay, no, just all right. So I would really like to understand the lore. Like maybe someone can explain it to me, right? Because they don't delve into it, although they should. So. You have, like, this character. Which is called Osira, right? And she's an Omnic, isn't she? Yeah, she's an Omnic. You got an Omnic character. And they basically insinuate that humans and Omnics can have relationships because Omnics have a soul. And it's like, okay, fine. Where's her pee-pee, though? Like, where do you put it in? See, this is the part of the lore that they do not explain because their writers are fucking incompetent. It makes absolutely no sense. Like, see, I would understand it's like, okay, so some humans have platonic relationships with the Omnics. Like, that's fine. But if you're telling me that they have relationships, and it doesn't even make sense why they would, though, because... The robots, they were made for manual labor, so like, why on earth would they have sexual organs? Right? But like that, because like what they're trying to do, because I get what's happening. Like, originally, this was a cool, just fantasy story where you have, I guess, you know, a robot uprising, and you have like the Overwatch team trying to stop the robots from killing people. Right. But then you have, like, the Social Justice Brigade. And they're like, how can we make this story social justice-y? And it's like, okay, but, like, what if the robots are oppressed? And then they're, like, taking it a step further. Because now they're talking about sexualities and stuff. And they're like, all right, well what if, like, some humans wanted to have relationship with the robots, but, like, they were being oppressed by other humans? Right? And I'm thinking, like, that doesn't fucking make sense within your lore. Right, because your robots were created as manufacturing drones and stuff like that. So, it is what it is, you know. It's not even Rule 34. Like even with Rule 34, there's no one that wants to do cushy with Orisa. Right, like what other Omnics are there in the game? Because like they do have a couple. Most of them are male, though, right? But, like, in this case, I'm curious, like, what about the female Omnics? But basically, like, what they want to say is that, okay, here's another Omnic, right? So, like, this one. Lady. Lady was an object that lived in the underworld, an Omnic city beneath King's Row. Lady was a fan of 97th American rock bands such as Rolling Stones, right? So, like, literally, they're taking the Omnics. And they're like, let's humanize them. Oh, look, this one, yeah, like, this one likes 1970 American rock bands. Isn't it sad? Isn't it sad that humans are bullying her? And I'm like, she's a fucking toaster. She's not a human. Number one. Number two, you're already bullying the AI, like the writers. I don't know if well, probably like the Writers Guild of America do not include video game writers, because if it did, it would be fucking hilarious, right? Because like the whole reason why you would bully robots is if the robots are able to take your job, right? Because it's not fucking fair. Like you're a human being that has to sleep, has to eat, right? Meanwhile, a robot like an Omnic could just work 24/7. So it's kind of like ChatGPT if you're a writer, isn't it? And the writers are now protesting the AI, but at the same time, they're writing stories about robots being bullied and how you should sympathize with the robot. I don't fucking get it, but it is what it is. What's sad is that it's a far advanced future, and the only good music is from the 70s. The only good music is from the 70s and the 80s. See how I can go on? Even if I sneeze, I pretend that nothing is happening and I carry on with the show. But anyway, right, so if it's 70 from the 80s, that's the only good music. Has there been any good music made after 2010? Like something that people really enjoy listening to? That's a good point. That's a really good point. I guess like Attack on Titan has pretty catchy music. But I don't know, like I'm sure there is like there, but like a complete new style of music. Like what was the last one? Dubstep. Like dubstep is probably the last style of music which was mainstream, for better or for worse. But like after dubstep, what exactly comes? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right? Like you don't have like the same thing. It's like, oh, you know, rock is invented and everyone is listening to rock music, and hey, listen, heavy metal came out and everyone is listening to that style. I don't know, like, is that, you know, jazz comes out and people are like, oh, a new style of it. I don't think like there has been a new style since dubstep. You love that modern mole music. Yeah, like corpo music is probably what's modern, I guess. Dubstep isn't anything. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying it's a new style of music that managed to go around the world. Now, if you don't like it, that's fine, but it was a new style of music. And it was popular. It was a billion-dollar industry, so. Synthwave? When did synthwave came out? I think synthwave was before dubstep. I may be wrong. So, synthwave, electronic music, mid to late 2000s. Yeah, it was before dubstep, I'm sorry. Synthwave doesn't count. But dubstep is late 2000s. Synthwave is early 2000s. So, no dice. No, honestly, dubstep is the last one. Maybe dubstep was so fucking bad and atrocious that no one dared to make anything else. It's like, well, we already have dubstep. Like, what if we create something that's worse than it catches on? Funk is popular? What the fuck is funk? I'm not saying if it's popular or not. I'm saying like a new style of music that was created. Funk music. Funk is the subgenre of hip-hop directly inspired by the 1990s. Cultural origins 1990. We're talking about 2000s, 2010, and you're bringing your shit from the 90s. I'm saying like give me something that was invented, like a new genre, a new style, all right? That's invented after dubstep, because I can't think of any. There isn't. The only thing that is, maybe it's like the elevator music in the mall, you know, like maybe that's a new style that they worked on. Anyway, it is what it is. What was stuff like The Weeknd be? The 80s inspired? Probably. ChatGPT doesn't think Corn Pop would be able to take on Superman. Well, ChatGPT is dumb then. Corn Pop would definitely be able to take on Superman. What does it have to be a new style? I'm not saying it has to be. I'm just pointing out like there hasn't been a new style in over 20 years. Can I not make that statement? Does it have to be? Well, like throughout the history of mankind, new styles of music have been consistently invented, usually like once or twice a decade. There hasn't been any new styles, is what I'm saying. Oh, actually, I think like AI generated music could be a new style. So things like Hatsune Miku could, but like Hatsune Miku is just using her voice as like an AI thing. But yeah, so like AI generated music would be the next style. I'm calling it right now. For better or for worse, who the fuck knows? But it's definitely going to be like a new style. This music is written by an AI, and you're going to have like an entire stadium full of people. Creativity is dying. No new music, constant reboots in gaming and movies. Yes, unfortunately. Let's talk about the topic of today. Let's talk about the white savior. Like, why can't white people save though? Like, why are white people not allowed to save? But isn't this something like? Can you imagine a diversity officer? Like, they're in a burning building, and the fire department comes, and it's like, hey, take my hand. Fat woman, I can carry you. And she's like, yeah, because you're white. You don't want to be saved by a white person. Alright. So this is on Reddit. College called me a white savior. Now, what's interesting is that despite the fact, this is on our teachers. I mean, you can tell the high IQ that's going to be gathering in this particular subreddit. Our teachers, I mean, oh my god. Can you imagine? So, thank you, Regem, for the gift of 5 Romanian TV livestream memberships. I do not know what they do, but I appreciate it. So, they probably do something good. Apparently, this teacher said something clever, and most teachers agree, but then the mods crack down on it. I mean, we can't have a civilized society without moderators. By the way, if you want an argument of why communism doesn't work, like this is the best argument that I could find, why communism doesn't work, right? The whole idea of communism is that you take away people's shit and then you equally redistribute them to others, right? So, I take away your stuff, regen, and then I give it to other people that deserve it, like American Outlier. The problem is that most, all communist regimes do this. They take away the stuff. So I take away the stuff from Regen, but then I don't give it to American Outlier. Then I keep it. And if you want to know just how this happens time and time again, just look at Reddit moderators, right? Like the moment they get a little bit of power, the moment they get like the tiny amount, the sliver of power, they hoard it to themselves and like they become like the most petty tyrants in the fucking world. I don't know if anyone has a boss or any person that they loathe more than you can have like disdain for a Reddit moderator. Like these people, they act as if they're God themselves. Their little corner of the internet. They brutalize and they tyrannize their little communities that they have over there. It's astonishing, isn't it? What a good analogy. I know, Raider. It is a good analogy. But like, there was this Reddit that I remember, Our Jobs, right? And Our Jobs initially started with certain people posting stuff about their bosses that were completely unreasonable. So like, for example, this guy is asked to come work during the weekends. And he says like, no, my contract is 5 days a week. I'm not coming during the weekend. And the boss is an asshole. He's like, you're going to come right now because like I demand that you... And the guy goes like, no, I quit. Right? Like, stuff like that. And most people are like, yeah, that's reasonable. Like, yeah, those bosses are assholes. But eventually, the subreddit gets taken over by communists and anarchists, and they literally just hate work. Like, they don't just, like, hate bad bosses. They don't just hate, like, unreasonable business deals. No, they hate work. Like, anything that has to do with a job, they hate it. So, eventually, like, one of the moderators gets invited on Tucker Carlson's show, and it's exposed that the guy is completely ridiculous. Like, is a complete mockery, fool, buffoon. He embarrasses his entire subreddit. And people are like, dude, you need to step down as a moderator. Like, come on, no one will take us seriously. Like, I understand, but like, you made an ass of yourself. You said the dumbest things in front of millions of Americans. Like, come on, just step down. He wouldn't. He would not fucking step down. Despite the fact that the entire community was asking him to. Like, no. Yeah, my power. My little moderator. My. Like, these people, the moment they get a hint, a whiff of authority, they will not let it go. Even if it's meaningless. It's like, oh, well, you have like some power over like some people on the internet. Who fucking cares? You know, you're not getting paid. You're not making money. It's not like something that you can write in a resume. It doesn't raise your social prestige. But no, like, it's like, my power. So, we had a student with a hygiene issue for several months now. A couple of people have talked to him, and he was always, yeah, I'll take a bath. Well, yesterday it was so bad that the entire hallway smelled and students refused to stay in the same class with him. So I pulled him aside and really talked to him and found out that he is homeless, so he couldn't take a shower. I found out we have a shower in our gym, so I went to the office and got permission for him to come up in before school today, and whenever he needs to take a shower. He mentioned he might need soap or stuff, so the morning before school I went to Walmart, got him some stuff. I got him every personal care item that he might need. I am white. Why would you even mention this? Like, why would you even bring this up, right? I am white. Oh, okay, so I know why she brings it up. I am white and don't know anything about caring for black hair, so I had a lady at Walmart help me pick out what products he might need for his hair type. I also got him a couple shirts so he wouldn't have to put a dirty shirt back on after showering. I told him to write down his sizes and I would get him what I could. Yo, the offense my coworker took to this. She said that I wasn't right helping this kid, and did I think I was just some sort of white savior or something? She asked if I was going to do this for all of the students or just this poor little black boy to make you feel better about yourself. I can't help every kid, but I can help this one, and this one needed my help. I wasn't trying to come up and assert my privilege. I just genuinely know what it's like to be the stinky kid and wanted to help. You old kids were throwing up yesterday, he stunk so bad. I cannot imagine how much that shit hurts his psyche to have happen. Alright, so I will tell you something very interesting. I grew up in a very religious environment. Like, the school that I went to was evangelical, right? And a lot of people, they like to do the talk about helping and shit, but very few did. And eventually you'd have, like, someone that tried to help, and they were like, well, you know, like, did you help all of them? Like, did you help, what about all, right? And there was, like, this interesting example that I came up with. And that was, like, there was this beach that had a lot of starfish on it. And because the tide brought all the starfish on the beach, they were dying because of the sun. And there's this little girl that picks up a starfish and throws it in the ocean. And some guy comes like, oh, well, you know, you're not going to help all of them. You're not going to help all. And the girl picks up another starfish, throws it in the ocean, and says, well, I helped that one. You know? Like, that's the type of attitude that we're having here. It's like, well, you're not helping all. But no, like, the fuck does it matter? Like, what's interesting, right? Like, this is the situation. You have the kid, which needed help, right? Like, obviously, due to the fact that he lived on the streets, he was stinky, and all the other children wouldn't want to associate with him, right? So, this lady finds a solution. I am willing to bet that this kid is happy, right? So, the child is very happy that he was but then you have the activist, the coworker, and it's like, oh my God, you white savior. V, that is just mediocre losers who want to blame society for their woes of everything. It's a self-inflicted problem. No, but like, dude, like, if I was a minority with activists like this, who needs enemies, right? Like, seriously, like, think about it, right? Like you have... Yeah, you have, like, a person that's trying to help, but for some goddamn reason, an activist that speaks on your behalf, they're like, and they're not helping you. Like, well, what about the other kid? Would you help just this one, or would you help all? What the fuck does it matter? Like, you know, it's like helping a dog out. You know, like you find a homeless puppy and you take it in. And what about the other dogs? It's like, dude, do you not have place in your house? Why don't you take them in? It's just astonishing, you know. It's only happy until the soap runs out. But not to mention, like, she literally did nothing wrong. Okay, so like she got the kid to talk openly. It's like, all right, so you're homeless, right? Like, well, let's see what we can do. Make sure that she doesn't embarrass him in front of the class. Like, she didn't hey, class, you know, Jimmy is homeless, so, like, Jimmy is going to shower in our... Like, no, she didn't do that, right? And you know, like, the fact that she even thought about, like, okay, well, because the kid is black, he may need different hair products and whatnot. Like, that's good. I wouldn't even think about it. I would just get him shampoo. And then he gets dandruff and shit. But, like, still... She did do something wrong. She was white. Yeah, exactly. It's just fucking astonishing. Yeah, I mean, you know, like, the activists are probably upset because, like, if there were no problems, then what they could do activism for. But Jesus, like, I can't even put myself in the mindset. So, like, okay, just because I'm a white person doesn't mean I speak for all white people. But like, let's imagine I'm in America, right? And for some goddamn reason, I do activism for Romanians in America, right? So I'm, like, now speaking on behalf of all Romanians just because I happen to be one. And at the school, there is, like, a teacher that helps a Romanian kid. And I would be, like, really livid. It's like, how dare you? Are you going to help all of them now? Like, what made you think you're capable of helping? Like, that is such a fucked up mindset. And, of course, the Reddit moderators, they deleted this. I like to think that the first woman who allowed the boy to shower is more representative of humanity. Oh my god. You know, like, seriously, like you have this kid, which is homeless, and yet he still goes to school. Like, isn't that interesting? Like, to me, that's very wholesome, in a way. Like, holy shit, when I was a kid, if I had to go to school, and if I was, heaven forbid, homeless, and I had to go to school, I would probably not go to school. Like, why even bother? Why even fucking bother going to school if you're in that situation? Like, going to school was horrible. You have to wake up in the morning. You have to do your homework. You have to learn and stuff. How is that kid even managing to do it? I don't even fucking know. But, like, the fact that he does is definitely astonishing. Like, that is something that I would not be able to do. Unironically. If I was homeless, I would not have been able to go and put myself through an education. Even if I had the money. Like, let's assume that I had the money and the situation. You're just homeless, right? But for some reason, you beg and you buy notebooks and you manage to buy pencils and stuff. Like, this is ridiculous. Not to mention, well, it's possible that the kid lied as well. Maybe he was just stinky. You know, like, maybe he just didn't want to shower. Didn't want to take a bath. Goes to school for the lunch and breakfast programs? Dude, like, I would just beg. If I was homeless, I would beg and I would have, like, the money for lunch. And breakfast. How is this child homeless and not in social services? Well, it says student, right? So, like, you can be over the age of 18 and still be in high school. So I assume, like, that was the case. But most children, most homeless people do not want to be in a program. There's several reasons for that, but that is what it is. This happens because the left doesn't believe in charities or charitable systems anymore. They believe in institutions. Yeah, no, that's true. But, like, again, this is not the left, right? Like, this is not, like, some journalist or no. Like, this is the opinion of one person. And then the opinion of the Reddit mods. She's scared to death that the guy will grow up and become ultra-libertarian. Dude, I guarantee to you, there is no fucking way that someone that grows up with that type of environment, like a homeless person that manages to actually go to school and actually manage to get a job, there is no fucking way that person is a lefty. Like, that person is going to be the most ultra-libertarian individual in the fucking world. I guarantee to you that. I'm willing to put money on this issue. It's the same thing, like, people who travel around the world rarely happen to be woke. Like if you have an individual that, especially an American, right? Like if he travels to, let's say, Africa, India, China, and then goes back to America, they will not be woke. I do not know a single person that traveled and is still woke unless they do it for like grifting. That's different. But like genuinely believing that, no. You smell like Team Spirit? Probably did, Midwest. Probably did. Um, can you imagine just how bad the smell must have been if all the other kids were out? Because, like, they may try to play the racism card and stuff, but take into account there were probably kids of his race as well. Because you don't have, like, the situation where it's, like, just one black person in the entire school. Like, I find that highly unlikely. So, if all the other kids went out because the guy was stinky, he was probably very stinky. So, this lady actually did try to do something. People who travel to India for a month. Well, not yeah, but like, okay, my bad. It's not a month, all right? Like, it's more like live a little bit, like a couple of years outside of your country. So like someone who actually lives in India for a couple of years, or lives in Japan for a couple of years. Like, it really changed. Like, living 1 month is not enough to change your perspective on the world. Because, like, what do you do in 1 month? Like, what exactly do you encounter? You know, like, you're barely exposed to the other culture. Like, if I go to America for 1 month, I'm not going to learn shit. You need to stay there for at least 1 year. It's weird, like, in Caribbean and Latin America, black people don't have the same deep se. Well, we are a libertarian. Well, did you grow up on the streets? Did you pull yourself by the bootstraps, as AOC likes to call it? Pulling yourself by... You know who pulled herself by her bootstraps? AOC did. Like, from a waitress, she managed to become one of the most influential people in the United States. Still hasn't got a single legislation written by her approved, but it doesn't matter. People in Caribbean and Latin America don't have the same deep-seated hatred for Americans. Well, yeah, because, like, in order to have the mindset of hatred, it needs to be taught to you. Like, believe it or not, most people do not hate. Like, most people who are born, you know, like, they're very individualistic oriented, but it's usually, like, the family, the culture, the upbringing that teaches you. Well, it can also be, like, negative experiences, right? So, like, there is that other thing, like, where, for example, you walk down the street, and four red people, red is actually purple people. 4 purple people beat you up, you know, and then you walk on another street, and there's, like, other purple people, and they beat you up. And, like, eventually you're going to be a little bit more distrustful towards the purple people, right? Like, experiences can cause that. Experiences can cause the opposite. Like, if you're being told that purple people are evil, and one purple person helps you out and, you know, like, gives you charity, or helps you out of a predicament, and then another purple person does something to... Like, eventually you're going to stop being distrustful and hateful. So, like, experiences do shape the way we view the world. But if you happen to grow in the Caribbean or in Latin America, why would you hate Americans? There's no fucking... Like, what did they do to you? You know, there's no one telling you the ideology that America is evil. There's no one whispering that into your brain. You don't encounter Americans that do bad stuff to you. So, yeah, like, most people, they will not have a seething hatred towards America. It makes fucking sense. V is the only Romanian guy I knew, so I would think most Romanians are nice. Well, it depends. I mean, I can take you traveling to a couple of neighborhoods and it will change your opinion almost instantly. Like, we can go to the capital of Romania. There are a couple of very diverse and very beautiful and rich neighborhoods, and yeah, you may immediately change your mind. The black community in America really believes some urban white liberal is going to save them. Do they though? Like, do they really? I don't know. I mean, I think they it depends on the community you're in, but I don't think, like, they expect that someone in the government is going to save them. Most Romanians are shitpost trolls based on my experience. That is probably correct, yes. Therefore, Romania is a country of 4chan. I love how, like, people of 4chan call Polish people Polak, because it's, like, politically incorrect, right? It's, like, Polak. Lots of Romanian girls are super hot. Yeah, but most Eastern European girls are super hot. And the more east you go, the hotter they become. Specifically inner city. Do they genuinely? But like, if you're on welfare, I guess it makes sense, right? Like if you get handouts from the government, then you become dependent on the government. So I suppose like you can't even conceive a life without it. I don't know. I remember when I started going to majority white private schools, my parents would constantly warn me about potential racismus, but it never materialized. I guess you were never that subject to change. Ha ha ha. See what I did there? I've noticed that. Why? Actually, it doesn't matter. Hot is hot. Well, the more east you go, the hotter it becomes, and then you reach Japan, you know? Asian ladies are pretty omoshiroi. Don't let my wife hear that, though. My wife is Asian in my heart. She's the exception. You come into Romania for the castle, you stay because of the food. The food is actually considered to be one of the best in the world, like I found out. It's like in top 10 world most best cuisines. You know, like I didn't know that because I grew up with this food. I mean, yeah, sure, it's tasty. And I went outside of Romania and I realized like, oh, well, you guys don't really have any specialities or anything. But it is possible. Look at this, you know, like I love this Shih Tzu. Who is Shih Tzu? I do not know who Shih Tzu is, but Shih Tzu had a very beautiful take. So this is Kettle. This is Pikami's new VTube avatar. And was the boob window really necessary for the model of a literal child? It was extremely necessary. It's really effective at keeping obnoxious weirdos away. Yeah, like that's okay, so this is very fucking interesting, right? When it comes to anime, it's very hard to carbon date this. Like, how old is she? 16, 14, 18, right? Like, it depends. But that's not the point. The point is, you have, in real life, in my country at least, I don't know about yours, but like in my country, you have 14-year-old girls, right? Who dress like this. Well, not exactly like this, but they dress sexually. Like, they dress revealing. They show cleavage. They show all these things because they have them. Now, I never thought for once in my life when I walked past them, I never sexualized them. Not once. Right? Like, but for some reason, on the internet, the progressives who are actively like, oh, well, we need to make sure that, art isn't hypersexual. The moment they see cleavage, like, it's not a super, like she's not wearing, hold on. She's not wearing a stripper uniform. Like, if she was wearing that, I would understand, right? This is not even hypersexual. She's just having cleavage. That's it, right? And it's fictional. But let's assume it would be a real thing. Right? I have seen in my country, in my town, girls coming out of high school, walking on the street, and they show cleavage. Or they show belly button, depending on the fashion. And I see the old lady, oh my god, look how kids dress these days. I understand their argument, alright? But like, I personally do not feel sexually aroused by that. I'm just walking past, I'm not even noticing, I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. You go clubbing! Holy shit, like, if you go clubbing, where the Pokemons gather, this is how us old people like to call the younger generation, the Pokemons gather. They're dressed very provocatively, but at the same time, that doesn't stir my loins. But it seems like there are people on the internet who are incapable of maintaining their libido. And not only that, but they're like projecting their desires upon others. I'm starting to not be shocked that most of the people that went against Gargura and all the other VTubers that have like cute avatars and shit, like a lot of these people ended up being convicted of sexual offenses. I'm not saying it's like, oh, there's a rumor. No, like the judge and the jury found the defendant guilty level. Isn't it fucking interesting? You don't have to enjoy something to complain. No, but like if you complain that something is overly sexual, and when I look at it, I just see that it has cleavage, I'm like, shut the fuck up. It's not overly sexual. Well, I went from rural poverty, horrible schooling, dropped out, got a GED and learned on my own, and was able to get into grad school before removing the GRE for test are racist. Got my MS data in science and making good income, so you tell me, yeah, people like you will rarely be leftists. Honestly, because like people like you who work so hard, they don't like it when it's like, okay, well, let's have the government make everyone else the same without them working hard, and then they are going to be competition for you. So that's like one line of thinking, and the other line of thinking is like, if I could do it, why couldn't they? Like, why should the government take my taxpayer money and give it to other people who do not work or want to? My avatar is cute, why thank you. They complain about what they are interested in. I don't know. It's just so fucking weird. I don't know why they have the UN mindset, caring for fictional characters. Yeah, like no. So like this is what I don't get either, right? Like in real life, you have drag queen story hour. You have Netflix doing cooties. You have Netflix doing AJ and the Queen. Many other shows you have like in schools. Like recently that there was another controversy about very explicit books being available to underage students. So you have all of this in real life, right? No, the problem is the anime girls. The problem is Gargura because she's VTubing with a cute avatar. And I'm thinking like, my fucking god, are these people for real? Like, do I take their concerns even remotely seriously? Are they genuinely concerned? Or are there like some individuals that are just on the internet trying to stir up shit and controversy in order to get clicks? Twitter Puritans tweeting about drawings, while Vash has an alt account that follows and likes hardcore lolly. Is that a thing? I don't even care though. It's my favorite part was when they went to what's his name, Chris Hansen, right? So for those of you who don't know, Chris Hansen, I mean, I'm pretty sure most of you know that. The first part you know, the second part you probably don't. So the first part that everyone knows is that Chris Hansen had the show How to Catch a Predator, right? So they would do these sting operations where they would pretend to be children online, and then they would ask the guy to come to a house, and when they come to the house, they get him arrested. Now, apparently, the reason Chris Hansen's show was cancelled is because they went after a really big, important... I don't know if it was politician. I think he was like a prosecutor, like a DA or something like... He was like a really big shot in Texas. So they went after him. They tried to get him in a sting. The guy doesn't show up. So the next day they go to his house. And when they go to his house, he shoots himself. Right? So like, because of this, they canceled the show. So, I guess like someone tipped him off. Like someone let him know. It's like, hey, you know, like they're coming for you and they know what you did. But anyway, right. So, that's why How to Catch a Predator was canceled. But then, Chris Hansen goes on YouTube. And he has like his own YouTube show and blah, blah, blah. And you have like all these weirdos that are going after VTubers. Like, sending Chris Hansen, it's like, look, this guy likes lolly, and this guy likes these drawings, and blah, blah, blah. And Chris Hansen responds, yeah, it looks pretty fucking sick, but unfortunately, that's not what I deal with. And, you know, it's like, okay, so, like, taking away Chris Hansen from doing his actual job, like, actually actual dangerous people, to, like, policing drawings online in the VTuber community. Yeah, I kind of see why he said that. Imagine shutting down a show after a success like that. Well, there is like this thing in America where advertisers like do not want to associate even remotely to anything that has to do with self-harm. So, yeah, a lot of people felt like you did though. It's like, imagine canceling a show for something like that. But what can you do? You know, the show also got a lot of criticism saying, I mean, this is kind of an American thing. I don't think it happens in other countries as much. But the police, for example, right? Instead of actually stopping crime, they create... How did I put that? Like, they don't really create the crime, but they incentivize people to do the crime. So, like, for example, in the kidnapping of Gretchen Whitmore, or whatever it was called, like a governor, right? Like, the FBI announces, oh, so we finally managed to stop down this plot. Like, these people were trying to kidnap the governor, and we stopped it. And then when it goes to court, it turns out that most of the people involved were FBI agents, right? So they would go to crazy people and say, hey, don't you want to kidnap the governor? Right? Don't you want to get... right? And that person would not have done it if it wasn't for. So that was the criticism that a lot of people were giving it to the How to Catch a Predator. It's like many of these people wouldn't do it if like you didn't have like the person on the internet enticing them. But when you actually looked at the show, many of them did do it. Like many of them in the past seem to have committed similar acts that they weren't found for. So it's called entrapment. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm glad that America does it so fucking often they even have a name for it. But yeah, like the entrapment thing is a two-edged blade, right? Because if you have like so let's assume that you have a person that's mentally unstable, right? Like Christian, for example, had a lady which apparently was also the daughter of some Secret Service people or FBI or whatever, and she tells Christian, "Hey, why don't you fuck your mom? You know, like just do it, record yourself, do it, right?" So he eventually does it. Now, Christian should obviously go to prison for it, and right now he's under investigation, and you know, but like, shouldn't that lady also face prison time for what she did? Like, you're going to a person that you know it's a little bit unwell, and you're trying to get them to commit a crime, right? Now, what I heard from the Americans is that, yeah, but like, that person has what it takes to commit crime, so he's a public danger. And I'm thinking like, okay, but if you were to go to such a person and you'd be like, hey, you know, like, I got big tits and I'm very sexy, why don't you join the military? Because, like, I like army guys. And what if that person joins the military and saves someone's life or saves someone? Would that logic still apply? It's like, yeah, but like, he has what it takes in order to be a good citizen. You know, like there are people who are very easy to influence, and it depends what circles they spin around. But it is what it is, you know, like, I get the arguments on both sides. I'm not going to pretend that one is more correct than the other, but still. Like normally, if you're a normal, healthy citizen, you would say no to any crime that's being asked of you. You know, so if someone like comes to me and goes like, hey, why don't you fuck your... Like, no, sorry. Absolutely not. I think the difference is that the Fed's actively doing it on our taxpayer dime. Well, the difference is that, like, are you really catching crime? Or are you just, like, finding people that are easy to influence? Anyway, right. Hopefully you guys got entertained. Hopefully you liked this video. And if yes, I will see you all tomorrow. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and take care.